Fox 5 News at 10 starts right now.
It's election night in Georgia, and the stakes could not be higher. Our Senate race could determine the balance of power in Washington, and our governor's race is a closely watched rematch between two candidates with very different visions for our state. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Spence.
I'm Courtney Bryant. Georgia voters are making their voices heard, casting ballots in several hotly contested races, and the results are pouring in.
Well, let's take a look at the most talked about races tonight. In the race for Georgia's next governor, incumbent Republican Brian Kemp with 54% to Stacey Abrams' 46%. It's still early in the evening, 56% of precincts reporting, but the incumbent governor with a very healthy lead at the moment. Yeah,
and in the closely watched U.S. Senate race, we'll take a look here. Herschel Walker retaining a very slight lead right now over incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock. Just over 1.5 million versus Warnock, a very close margin. Just several thousand votes separate the two of them as the night is far from over. Our Fox 5 News team is bringing you reaction from the most talked about races tonight. Fox 5's Doug Evans and Eric Perry with Republican Governor Brian Kemp and Democratic challenger Stacey Abrams camps.
But first, we check in with our Denise Dillon and Deidre Dukes covering Georgia's U.S. Senate race. The results have been flipping back and forth all night. Deidre live from incumbent Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock's camp. Deidre, an extremely tight race, and it's clear that some people have split their ticket.
That's right, an extremely tight race, as you said, those numbers flipping back and forth. But I can tell you, Russ, still a very party-like atmosphere here at the Warnock Watch Party. In fact, we just heard from actress-entertainer Lynn Whitfield. She was on the stage just moments ago thanking the crowd of supporters here for their hard work in this campaign. This crowd does remain very optimistic about Warnock's chances tonight, even as we have seen those numbers go back and forth. Of course, very early in the evening, they were very excited because Senator Warnock, the incumbent, had that big lead early in with those early numbers coming in the race. And even though they've seen those numbers narrowing and flopping back and forth, they still seem to have a strong sense, a feeling here. They believe that it's still possible that the senator could win this race outright tonight. We have not heard from Senator Warnock yet. I reached out to his people to see when we might expect to hear from him this evening. But we did talk to some supporters, and here's what they had to say.
So far, the numbers look great. I believe it's going to take it tonight. I don't believe it's going to go into a runoff, and I'm excited about that.
I am ecstatic, and I hope, pray, and believe it will continue because he is the only qualified candidate running.
And of course, polling has shown here within the past several weeks that this would in fact be a tight race if those polls in fact were accurate, and indeed it does appear that they were proven through this evening. So again, we are awaiting Warnock's appearance here. It would be his first appearance to address supporters here, and keeping an eye out word from his campaign if and when we're going to see him within the hour possibly. That's the latest here from the Marriott Marquis Watch Party for the Warnock campaign. Back to you.
All right, Deidre, thanks. And we continue to watch the numbers in the Senate race right now. Again, a very small margin separates the two candidates, with Walker holding a slight lead. That's
right. Fox 5's Denise Dillon has been with the Walker campaign all night. Denise, so many eyes on this race, and if the percentages were to end up where they are right now, of course, it would be a runoff. We'll see what happens in the hours ahead.
Yeah, well, many are hoping there is not a runoff, as predicted, though, and as we've been talking about, this is a very, very close race. Yet a lot of energy and a lot of optimism in this room. Just a short time ago, Ralph Reed, who is the MC tonight, stepped up to the podium and said, hey, you better switch from alcohol to caffeine because it's going to be a long night. He said we're waiting on a number of North Georgia counties to see what those numbers are, and when those do come in, that's when we're going to see Herschel Walker's numbers really take off. I talked to several of Walker's supporters earlier who say Herschel Walker is the man for Georgia, and he's even picked up a few unexpected votes today.
And we're thankful that everybody's eyes are on us, but we are concerned about Georgia. The people of Georgia, Herschel always says, they're his family, we're his family, and he is looking out for the people of Georgia.
And more cheers just now as the numbers keep coming in. We, again, may be in for a long night, but supporters say that there was a very good turnout in early voting and great numbers coming in today. They're certainly optimistic that this is going to be a celebration for Herschel Walker tonight. Reporting live in Cobb County, Denise Dillon, Fox 5 News.
We will certainly be checking back with you, Denise. Thanks very much. Now, we got to talk about Libertarian Chase Oliver in this race because he could force a runoff in the Senate race if neither Warnock nor Walker gets 50% plus one. Right now, he is at 1.9%, Chase Oliver is. Our political analyst Lori Geary told us earlier tonight that if he ends up between 1.5 and 1.6, she thinks it's very likely there will be a runoff in this. Oliver says he thinks he's got enough people who voted for him to keep one of the major party candidates from winning outright. A runoff election would, of course, be held on December 6th.
Checking back in now on the governor's race. That race is not nearly as close right now as the U.S. Senate race. Brian Kemp got a commanding lead right now, 8% ahead of his challenger, Stacey Abrams. He's got 54% of the vote right now. A pretty large lead right there. Fox 5's Eric Perry has been with the Abrams camp tonight, but first we want to check in with Doug Evans, who's live at the Battery, monitoring things at Republican Governor Brian Kemp's watch party.
Doug, Kemp holding a steady lead right now, more than 200,000. As you know, he won by 55,000 4 years ago.
That's right, and a very enthusiastic crowd here at the Coca-Cola Roxy in the Atlanta Battery tonight, and why not? They have had a lot to cheer about, not just in watching the governor's race here in Georgia, but they are watching races nationwide and cheering on the Republicans as they take leads throughout the nation. And, you know, Governor Kemp has not appeared yet here before this crowd, although First Lady Marty Kemp did appear about an hour ago along with their daughters on stage, and she thanked this crowd for their support and their prayers, not just in this campaign, but over the last 4 years. And she told the joke, and she's told it before, and it always gets a good laugh, that running for governor was not in their marriage vows, and running for re-election certainly was not. But she thanked them for their support, and she certainly has embraced her role as First Lady, and she told this crowd that she was looking forward to 4 more years of that. And if Brian Kemp does win tonight, what a political comeback. Consider that on January 6, 2021, then President Donald Trump told supporters there in Washington at the rally that occurred just before the Capitol riots about Brian Kemp, and he said, and I quote, "Get this guy the hell out of office." Well, he has polled better, Brian Kemp has, than any other Republican running for statewide office. Polled so well and is doing so well that many are thinking that he perhaps has some coattails. Maybe that's a term that folks don't use very much anymore, but that he has the ability to open the door and usher in more Republicans down ballot statewide. We'll see. Reporting live from the Battery, Doug Evans, Fox 5 News.
Yes, as you say, quite a comeback. Donald Trump told a crowd in Perry in South Georgia last fall that perhaps Stacey Abrams would have been a better governor than Brian Kemp, and here we are. Stacey Abrams holding her election watch party in downtown Atlanta tonight. Fox 5's Eric Perry has been with her camp.
Yeah, Eric, Abrams is trailing right now by a good amount. The race not close to 100% yet in terms of the results coming in, but how are people in the room feeling knowing that Abrams right now is about 8% down against Governor Kemp?
Yeah, Courtney, Russ, they are putting the party and the watch party out here. I'm going to move out just so you can kind of see the atmosphere. You can see people kind of dancing around earlier around 9 o'clock. We heard from different people, different leaders here. Congresswoman Nikema Williams, who was just reelected tonight, she spoke and got the crowd on their feet. We also heard from local business owners. We have not seen from Stacey Abrams just yet, but we do know she is expected to come out at some point. But we also started the 9 o'clock hour off at this ceremony with Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens. He said he's proud to be here. He has a great relationship with Stacey Abrams. Listen to what he told the crowd.
That's right. We've done our part. I want to make sure that all of us have, went out there and did what we were supposed to do, knocked on doors, told everybody to make sure they voted for one of the nation's best leaders, the best minds coming out of this state of Georgia, Stacey Abrams.
Yeah, not exactly what we're hoping for at this crowd right here. Many people here not hoping, not looking forward to her being behind right now, but that has not, they've not given up hope or anything like that. They're going to wait throughout the night. They're expecting it to be a long night. The DJ is playing. We are expected to hear from more leaders that are in the building as they're coming in. And of course, Stacey Abrams will make an appearance at some point throughout the night. But of course, we'll be here and we'll bring you that when she takes the stage. At the watch party here at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Atlanta, I'm Eric Perry, Fox 5 News.
Eric, thank you. And for a closer look at the results in these top races, let's check in now with Fox 5 anchor Tom Haynes.
Tom, you've got a county-by-county breakdown, and that's going to be important when it comes to especially the Senate race, which is very close right now. What are you seeing?
Yeah, we're watching a couple of stories unfold tonight, guys, both in the Senate and the governor's race. The governor's race 4 years ago was very close. That is not the case tonight, and the later we go, it's becoming more and more difficult to see how Stacey Abrams makes up an almost 10-point gap here with Brian Kemp. She is performing well in places like Savannah out here, where she's 55% to Kemp's 44. That's a 10-point spread. Out in Macon and Chatham, the Bibb County area, 72%. And over here in Columbus, Muskogee County, 63%. Abrams performing well up in Athens, too, where she's well ahead of the governor. But in places like Metro Atlanta, Abrams performing extremely well. The sea of red that you see around in the outlying parts of the state is where Governor Kemp is excelling. And again, as we get later into the night, it just seems harder and harder to find out how Abrams can make up that ground. Let's go over to the United States Senate race, where it is quite a different story. This race has been bouncing back and forth between Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. It is razor close. That magic 50% or what either of these two candidates are going for. The polling tracking pretty much what we've been seeing between Governor Kemp and Herschel Walker. It's maintained that 4-point spread, and as the case tonight. But here's the wild card, guys. Chase Oliver. Look, he's pulling 2% of the vote, which could send this thing into a runoff if either of these two Senate candidates, Walker or Warnock, cannot cross that 50% mark.
Wow, looks like it'll be a longer night when it comes to that Senate race as we continue to watch the results there. But for right now, let's check in on the lieutenant governor race and show you the latest numbers on that. We've got Burt Jones running against Charlie Bailey, and right now Burt Jones is in the lead at 52%, just over 250,000 votes ahead of Democrat Charlie Bailey. And in the race for Secretary of State, incumbent Brad Raffensperger, the Republican, with 54% of the vote, holding a very strong 10% lead over his Democratic challenger, Nguyen.
Yeah, despite the former president having called him an enemy of the people. Georgia's election has the nation's attention, of course, with all eyes on our U.S. Senate and governor's race.
Fox 5 anchor Christine Spiro joins us now with our panelists for an inside look at these races. There is a lot to talk about, Christine.
Yeah, there is. I'm joined by Lori Geary, Brian Robinson, and Theron Johnson, all here to look at all these numbers and these results as they're coming in. I asked you which race do you want to start with, the governor or the Senate, and you guys are like, any one of them, so let's go. Let's start with this U.S. Senate race, where we have seen these numbers going back and forth. Lori, I'll start with you. What is your initial assessment seeing this? Warnock started with the lead for most of the night, and in the last 30 minutes, we've seen Herschel Walker gain a little ground.
Well, so far it's looking like the polling is just dead on. That, we thought all along this would go into a runoff, and so far it is. We see Walker jump ahead kind of in the last really 15 minutes, but ever so slightly. And I think if you keep looking at Chase Oliver's number, he's polling at 1.9% right now. Anything like 1.5 to 2%. 2%, and it's a runoff because these races are so close.
Theron, as a Democratic strategist, what are you saying to Reverend Warnock's campaign, hypothetically, looking at these numbers tonight?
Well, just to take you kind of into the war room, he has a great team of people, women and men, who are looking at their ID voters. These are people who they know either they went out on election day or they actually went out early. And so what they're looking at now is sort of a county breakdown, what numbers are out. And I think that Senator Warnock feels very good about how he really ran this campaign. I think it was a statewide effort. And I think he closed very strong. You saw a different sort of tone in his campaign messaging. You know, when he starts talking about Herschel Walker sort of, not having a record, not really being fit to hold office, it was a much more poignant attack. And so I think that, look, the metro counties, a majority of them are in. I think he spent an enormous amount of time in outside in rural Georgia. But I think southeast Georgia, where he's from, Chatham County, Augusta, those areas I think that are still kind of out in Bibb County will ultimately, hopefully, carry him through the night and hopefully win without a runoff.
Brian, do you see a path for Herschel Walker getting that 50% threshold and avoiding this runoff?
I do. It is very tight right now, but at this moment, I just talked with the Secretary of State's office. There are still 1 million election day votes to be tabulated. Those are going to be heavily Republican. You're going to continue to see the Republicans' numbers begin to build, particularly in some of those down-ballot races that are teetering around that 50% mark. I think that the Republicans down-ballot are going to get over 50, and I think that Brian Kemp has already won this thing. It's done. He is reelected. We can go ahead and call it, in my opinion.
You kept glowing at those numbers, seeing that 54% to 46%.
But that's partly personal bragging, because on Road to November on Fox 5 last night, I said that I think Brian Kemp's going to get 54%.
Do we have that on tape somewhere?
It is there. And I said, but here's the thing, here's the catch. I said, if he gets 54, I think he brings Herschel over the line with him. And that margin between him and Walker is slightly bigger than what I had predicted.
Yeah.
But I think you still have to look at some of the outstanding votes. I mean, Bibb County is really not reporting yet, and neither is DeKalb County. Those are strong Democratic places. So I think we have to be a little cautious.
That's true.
All
right,
right.
Theron?
Absolutely.
Theron agrees. Okay, we'll be back later in the hour to talk more about some of these other races. Courtney and Russ, back over to you guys.
All right, we could listen to you guys all night. We appreciate it. Thank you. Fox 5 bringing you the latest election results. Be sure to scan the QR code on your screen right now.
Yeah, that code will take you right to the Fox 5 election hub, where you can see up-to-the-minute results from all the statewide and county races tonight.
And plenty of results are still pouring in tonight. We'll take you live to the election headquarters for Lieutenant Governor candidates Burt Jones and Charlie Bailey, plus reaction in the race for Secretary of State when we come back.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm Team in the palm of your hand. Scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 Storm Team app. Inside the app, you'll find everything you need to plan your day and keep your family safe. Set your location to get instant notifications for weather near you, and even get life-saving alerts when severe weather threatens. From your hourly forecast to a full 10-day breakdown, it is all at your fingertips. Scan the code now and take the Fox 5 Storm Team with you.
Election results continue to pour into the Fox 5 newsroom tonight.
All right, checking in now on Georgia's race for lieutenant governor, an open seat because Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan decided not to run for re-election. Burt Jones with 52% of the vote. State Senator Burt Jones to Attorney Charlie Bailey's 46% with 49% of the precincts reporting.
And our Fox 5 News team is covering reaction from both camps tonight. Rob DiRienzo is with Democratic candidate Charlie Bailey. But first, we check in with our Randy Travis live in Flovilla with Burt Jones' camp. Randy, how's the atmosphere there?
You know, all night, Courtney, people here have been promised they're going to have a short and happy evening. I would say so far they haven't really had either. I would call it maybe cautious celebration. The candidate, Senator Burt Jones, worked the room a couple of times earlier this evening, shaking hands with various well-wishers. You know, not a lot of politicians here, a couple of sheriffs, a couple of state senators, but for the most part, the people here are people that Senator Jones has grown up with or were his earliest supporters for this campaign. But finally, just a few minutes ago, when he felt like he was confident that they were going to win tonight, Senator Jones walked up on stage along with his wife Jan and his children Stella and Banks and thanked everybody, but then lamented one of the, he says, really only accusations that were leveled against him in this campaign.
I think I've been in politics for 10 years, and the worst thing that people could hit me on was, you know, me being somebody who was wanting to take down democracy. You know, they never could hit me on any scandals or anything like that, and so they never could hit me on a bad vote or anything. So they just would make up these, you know, these lies that unfortunately kids have to watch on TV.
The senator is, of course, talking about the so-called Stop the Steal movement that he was involved in for the 2020 election. He told everybody here tonight that it's okay if they want to leave early. It's a school night as he looked at his children, but he said he'll be here until the end and celebrate with whomever's left. Reporting live from Flovilla, Randy Travis, Fox 5 News.
All right, cautious celebration, as you said, happening there. Randy, thanks. Democrat Charlie Bailey at the beginning of the day was hoping to avoid a runoff and have an outright win tonight. So far, it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
No. Fox 5's Rob DiRienzo live in downtown Atlanta with the Bailey campaign. Rob, Burt Jones did put his signature on that piece of paper affirming that Donald Trump had won the state of Georgia when he clearly did not. But Charlie Bailey didn't get much traction out of it.
That's exactly right, Russ, and that is something that Bailey has mentioned time and time again on the campaign trail. Now, you heard a moment ago in Randy's report that there is a victorious energy in that room. Here, there is an energy of optimism. I spoke to Mayor Andre Dickens a little while ago. He says that this is a big night for Georgia, and he's feeling good about it. Now, just a little while ago, Charlie Bailey came into the room and greeted supporters here at the gathering place. So far, this race is shaping up to be a bit tighter than the governor's race, with 65% of the votes in. Republican Burt Jones has about 170,000 vote leads. Now, as Bailey was working the room, I asked him about how he's feeling right now. Take a listen.
We felt good going into tonight. We felt good throughout this campaign because we know we've got a contrast between somebody like me who's spent my career as a former prosecutor and attorney fighting to get people justice, and my opponent who's under investigation by the FBI. You can't get a better contrast than that.
And one thing we heard Bailey telling supporters that we heard from Jones is that this is going to be a very long night. Bailey tells me that he's going to be staying here until every last vote is counted. Live in downtown Atlanta, Rob DiRienzo, Fox 5 News.
All right, Rob, thanks for that update. Let's check back in on the Secretary of State race and show you the latest numbers there. Brad Raffensperger only continuing to widen his lead over Democratic challenger Bee Nguyen, now holding an 11-point lead over her. And our Fox 5 News team has been covering the results with both candidates tonight. Tyler Fingert is live in downtown Atlanta with Democrat Bee Nguyen's campaign.
But first, we head out to the Battery, where Christopher King is live at Republican Brad Raffensperger's election headquarters tonight. Christopher, talk about a political comeback in the last year.
Yeah, Russ and Courtney, talk about a political comeback, and the mood is celebratory here right now. Brad Raffensperger right behind us. He declared victory just moments ago. This is the scene right now outside Garden and Gun. This is the election night headquarters for Raffensperger. Now, he's holding court right now. He's the incumbent Secretary of State. He's a Republican up against the Democrat Nguyen. Raffensperger endorsed Georgia's controversial voting law. Supporters say the law makes it tougher to cast illegal ballots. Opponents say it makes it tougher for the average citizen to vote. And Raffensperger was thrust into the national spotlight when he refused to overturn the Georgia vote back in 2020 to give Donald Trump the win here in Georgia. Trump, of course, unleashed withering attacks against Raffensperger, but he is still standing, unlike other Republicans who contradicted the former president's election claims. We asked Raffensperger about that. He says voters want integrity.
I think they're just looking for someone that's honest, that'll have calm discussions with people. And I think that's what the people are looking for: character, integrity, honesty, and a touch of kindness. You can be conservative and still be kind. And I think that's what people are seeing, is that I'm doing the right thing.
Again, Brad Raffensperger declaring victory just moments ago. He is here right now, savoring the fruits of his victory. Stay with us all night. We will be live out here, give you live updates on the very latest on this race. We're live at the Raffensperger camp. Christopher King, Fox 5 News.
Christopher, thanks. As you know, Secretary of State Raffensperger wrote a book about his experience with this called Integrity Counts. Now, Democrat Nguyen is hoping to unseat the incumbent Raffensperger.
Fox 5's Tyler Fingert is live with her camp in downtown Atlanta, but right now we are going to go to the location of where Herschel Walker's campaign event is happening. We're hearing that we will be hearing from him shortly. He's speaking now. Let's listen.
So I'm gonna tell you this little story. I've been talking about these two little boys, and one little boy is always positive in life. No matter whatever happened to that kid, he was positive about it. But this other little kid was always negative. No matter whatever was going on in his kid's life, he was negative about everything. And the father don't know what's going on with these kids because they're twins, but they're so opposite. So around Christmas time, he tried a little experiment. He put this negative kid in his room, nothing but brand new toys. But he put this positive kid in his room, nothing but horse manure. And after an hour or so, we looked down on this negative little kid, and he was complaining, I don't want this, I want that. I don't want this, I want this. And the father knew that this kid is never going to amount to anything because nothing ever makes him happy. But he looks in on the kid that's in the room with the horseman. He got a shovel. He's shoving that horseman over his shoulder. He's laughing and singing and having a good time. First thing the father thinks, this kid's got to be crazy. But he said, son, what's going on? What's going on, little boys? You know, Dad, as much horseman as there is in this room, there must be a pony at the bottom of it. And the reason I'm telling you that right now, guys, we got a pony at the end of this right here. I can tell you this right now. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm like Ricky Bobby. I don't come to lose. And I told you, he's going to be tough to beat. He's going to be tough to beat, but let me tell you what, he got the wrong Georgia here on him. So I want to tell y'all, if you can hang in there a little bit longer, just hang in there a little bit longer, because something good, it takes a while for it to get better. And it's going to get better. So I wanted to thank you guys for hanging in. And if some of you have to go home, you can wake up tomorrow morning and see that the new senator for the great state of Georgia is Herschel Walker. So I want to tell you guys, and I want to thank you guys for coming out. And thank you guys for being here. And thank you guys for all your support. I'm not leaving you. I'm up there, they call it a war room, and I say it's a blessing. I'm up there in this room that I've been blessed. So I'm ready. And I know you guys are ready as well. So, hey, God bless you guys. Let's just keep it going. God bless. Thank you guys so much.
All right, 3.2 million votes have been counted so far in that particular race, and only 24,000 votes separate the two candidates.
Yeah, Herschel Walker, you heard him address his very enthusiastic supporters in that room. A lot of shouting, a lot of cheering going on. We're showing you the numbers right now. It is a close race, but Walker right now is in the lead. with just about 24,000 votes separating him and incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock. Walker came out sounding pretty optimistic about how things will go tonight.
Yeah, he says there's a pony at the bottom of whatever it is that they're shoveling. But that pony might be on December 6th. I mean, there may be a runoff. We talked about Chase Oliver. He's at close to 2%, the Libertarian in this particular race. And that may very well be enough to prevent either one of the two major candidates from getting to 50% plus one. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll continue to follow that race, of course. Also, as we mentioned, Democrat Nguyen is hoping to unseat incumbent Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger.
Fox 5's Tyler Fingert is live with her camp in downtown Atlanta. Tyler, what's the atmosphere there?
Yeah, hey Russ, good evening to you. Democratic Secretary of State candidate Bee Nguyen just spoke to her supporters just about an hour ago here at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Atlanta. You'll see that supporters are still here in the room. The one thing she didn't do during her speech was concede. Despite being down in the polls, she said she is going to, quote, wait for the votes to come in. Just after 9:10, she got to the podium and spoke to a crowd of supporters here. And throughout the campaign, she has called herself a voting rights expert. She has been an outspoken opponent of Georgia's new election law. And here's a little bit of what she had to say a short time ago.
I'm running for Secretary of State because I was privileged enough to live in the district represented by John Lewis for my entire adult life. Yes. And what he taught us was the value of the vote, that it is sacred, that it is our most powerful nonviolent tool.
And you see that Nguyen is still here talking with supporters. Some view her as a rising star in the Democratic Party. If she ends up winning this race, she would be the first Asian American to be elected to a statewide office here in the state of Georgia. We'll have full coverage continuing here on Fox 5 News. We are live in downtown Atlanta. Tyler Fingert, Fox 5 News.
Tyler, we will check back. Thanks very much. Let's look at the latest numbers in the race for Attorney General. Attorney General Chris Carr has been in office since 2016, appointed by Nathan Deal, Governor Deal at the time. He won a 4-year term 4 years ago, and he is leading State Senator Jen Jordan, the Democrat, 52-46 at this point, with 56% of the precincts reporting.
All right, as we continue here tonight, the balance of power in Washington, D.C. is on the line tonight. Coming up, we'll have the latest results from some of the national Senate races that could tip the balance.
I'm Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Jonathan Stacey, and tonight I'm tracking Tropical Storm Nicole, set to become a hurricane tomorrow before bringing much-needed rain to Georgia. Your forecast next.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm Team in the palm of your hand. Scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 Storm Team app. Inside the app, you'll find everything you need to plan your day and keep your family safe. Set your location to get instant notifications for weather near you and even get life-saving alerts when severe weather threatens. From your hourly forecast to a full 10-day breakdown, it is all at your fingertips. Scan the code now and take the Fox 5 Storm Team with you.
All right, checking in on Georgia's U.S. Senate race, still extraordinarily close. Republican Herschel Walker with a very slight lead at this point, less than 1%, 49.4 to 48.6% for the Democratic incumbent Raphael Warnock, now with 61% of precincts reporting. Now, that's not the only key Senate race that's going on tonight. 35 Senate seats and control of the chamber are on the line across the country.
Fox 5's Tom Haynes has a look at some of tonight's key races. Tom.
Yeah, so many races, guys, worth watching tonight. At least 51. That's the magic number that each party is after tonight. 51 Senate seats would give one party the majority. So let's see how we're doing right now. We have our first major race called in the United States Senate. Fox News reporting Michael Bennet, the Democrat there, has won his third term, beating Joe O'Dea, the Republican. O'Dea tried to make it happen. He was a political newcomer. He pitched himself as the Republican Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin, of course, of West Virginia, who straddles the political aisle. And he said that he would actively campaign against former President Trump, but it was not enough. Quite a significant difference there. In Florida, a race that also has been called, incumbent Senator Marco Rubio handily defeating Val Demings. Interestingly, historically Democratic Miami-Dade County has voted majority Republican in this midterm for both Rubio and re-elected Governor Ron DeSantis. Let's go to Pennsylvania. Mehmet Oz and John Fetterman. Boy, this has been one to watch. This has gone back and forth. It has shifted dramatically. Democrat John Fetterman, he suffered a stroke during this campaign. He was polling well ahead of Oz, some points 10 points, but that changed substantially after the two debated. Fetterman lost significant ground there. The race likely not to be called until later this week. But look how close, 51 to 47, that race is. Take you to nearby North Carolina now, where Republican Ted Budd is slightly ahead of Sherry Beasley right now. This is also a close one. Just a few percentage points split these two. Razor-thin race here. They're looking to fill the seat of retiring Republican Senator Richard Burr. To Ohio now. We're looking at a tight race between J.D. Vance. Can he pull it out over Tim Ryan? And it looks like the answer might just be yes, 54% to 46%. This was close early on in the evening, but it has really widened here with J.D. Vance really pulling away. Former President Trump speaking there last night. Everybody thought that Trump was going to announce that he's going to run for president again in 2 years. He didn't do that, saying that a major announcement from Mar-a-Lago is coming next week. But Ohio, a safe Republican state now, and Vance likely to pull it out. So here is where the balance of power stands right now. The control of the Senate, 42 Democrats to 41 Republicans. But this map is going to change by the end of the night. Again, Republicans hoping that it's going to flip. And control of the House, 98 to 55. Again, it's going to be no surprise here that Republicans control the United States House of Representatives. Coming up tonight at 11, we're going to look at the West Coast races as voting there wraps up, including an update on the big race in Arizona and Nevada.
I'm Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Jonathan Stacey with you here on this Tuesday night. And in fact, people along Florida's east coast are bracing for a landfall of subtropical storm Nicole, set to become a hurricane in no time. In fact, we're seeing those tropical storm alerts stretching as far north as the South Carolina coast. Right here, this is a tropical storm watch that's in effect from Charleston all the way down to Savannah. But we upped the ante with a tropical storm warning for the Golden Isles. We're talking about right along the I-95 corridor, Brunswick down to St. Mary's, and then you have those hurricane warnings that are along the Space Coast. Right now, winds are sustained at 70 miles per hour. It's nearing hurricane status. Let's go ahead and traffic it. We're looking at a landfall sometime as we get into Tuesday morning. This is Thursday, I should say. Thursday morning, a landfall along the Space Coast, somewhere between Daytona Beach and West Palm Beach. You can see there the storm safely over the Panhandle now as we get into the midday period of Thursday. We're starting to see some of those outer rain bands from Savannah to Albany, reaching up into Georgia, also into South Carolina. We're covered up in the clouds here on Thursday morning, and then by Thursday afternoon, those rain showers start to break out, mainly to the south of the city. It's really Thursday night going into Friday morning when we get the brunt of the storm's impact You can see here at 6 a.m. on Friday morning, we're dealing with sheets of rain stretching all across the metro area. Along with that, we're dealing with some pretty strong wind gusts. Wind gusts could exceed 40 miles per hour. We're looking at some much needed rainfall coming our way, folks. We're getting anywhere between 2 to 3 inches of rain, and it really comes in a 24-hour period starting late Thursday, going through the first part of the Veterans Day. Things will calm down, and not only calm down for the weekend, but cool down, temperatures in the 30s by Saturday.
All right, Jonathan, thanks. We are getting a clearer picture in the race for Georgia's next governor. We'll have the latest results, plus reaction from Governor Kemp's camp straight ahead.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm Team in the palm of your hand. Scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 Storm Team app. Inside the app, you'll find everything you need to plan your day and keep your family safe. Set your location to get instant notifications for weather near you and even get life-saving alerts when severe weather threatens. From your hourly forecast to a full 10-day breakdown, it is all at your fingertips. Scan the code now and take the Fox 5 Storm Team with you.
Get news from Fox 5 and Good Day Atlanta 24/7 with email newsletters.
It's the news you want delivered right to your inbox.
The morning brief gives you all the top stories to start your day.
And the GDA download.
Time to check in on one of the most talked about races in Georgia. In the race for Georgia's next governor, incumbent Brian Kemp has 54% of the vote with 61% of the precincts reporting a 9-point lead over Stacey Abrams. Look at the raw number there. He's up by more than 300,000 votes. And recall that in 2018, he won by only 55,000. Fox 5's Doug Evans has been with Governor Brian Kemp's campaign all night.
Yeah, he joins us live from the Battery, and Governor Kemp is really pulling away, nearly a 10-point difference between him and Abrams. How is the atmosphere there at that event?
Well, Brian Kemp told us before the polls closed that he was confident about victory tonight. If he was confident then he must be feeling pretty good now with the numbers that you've just read out to us. A very enthusiastic crowd here at the Coca-Cola Roxy here at the Atlanta Battery. They have been watching the results here and watching the results around the country as well. At this point, folks here are wondering, when will this race be called? Two other important questions tonight. If it is called for Brian Kemp, will Stacey Abrams this time concede? And will she phone call Brian Kemp to offer congratulations. Two things that did not happen in 2018 when they faced off then. We'll be back with you.
Two very excellent questions, Doug. We'll be checking back. Thanks. All eyes on the race for U.S. Senate. A look at Georgia's results straight ahead.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm Team in the palm of your hand. Scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 Storm Team app. Inside the app, you'll find everything you need to plan your day and keep your family safe. Set your location to get instant notifications for weather near you and even get life-saving alerts when severe weather threatens. From your hourly forecast to a full 10-day breakdown, it is all at your fingertips. Scan the code now and take the Fox 5 Storm Team with you.
Get news from Fox 5 and Good Day Atlanta. Let's take an in-depth look now at Georgia's U.S. Senate race. Herschel Walker has a narrow lead.
Fox 5's Tom Haynes is joined now with Lori Geary for a county-by-county look to see could they avoid a runoff tonight?
That's the magic question, guys. Lori here to kind of break down some of the numbers for us. Lori, Herschel Walker just came out and sounded pretty victorious. Is there a scenario tonight where he crosses over the 50+1 threshold?
It's going to be slim and it's going to be really difficult because I want to point to the map here, Tom, if you want to do your magic here. The metro Atlanta counties, a portion of them are still out. You're talking about Fulton County, DeKalb, Gwinnett, and Cobb.
Talk about Fulton now, where Warnock is well ahead, and DeKalb, same picture there. But these have not reported 100% of the precincts, and look at how far ahead Warnock is. So there are votes to be made up here.
There are, and I will tell you that Fulton County and DeKalb County are really strong Democratic strongholds. Gwinnett and Cobb not as strong, but still will pull for Warnock's favor.
You talked about Chatham too. I believe Raphael Warnock's sort of home county.
Yes, and this is Savannah.
Yeah, how does that kind of look right now?
This will bump up Warnock a little bit. Savannah, when those votes come in from Chatham County, that'll also bump up Warnock. But there are still some rural votes out as well, and those will do well for Walker.
So let's talk about one of the wild cards in this race, the Libertarian candidate Chase Oliver. He's polling at a healthy 2% right now.
Yes.
Enough to send this into a runoff. Does he sort of continue that momentum, hover around 2% 42%. And is he going to be a disruptor here?
Absolutely. I think if this number stays, I think it's going to be very difficult for either one to get, for Warnock or Walker to get over to that 50+1. So I think Chase Oliver could definitely be a disruptor tonight.
That is so fascinating. And we'll see if headlines are made here in the state of Georgia. If one of these candidates crosses the 50+1, Lori Geary helping me break down some of these county by county numbers, guys, to see if that can happen.
Well, you know, and the whole country obviously is watching Georgia because it all could all come down to this. We'll see,
the balance
what
of
happens.
power.
Thanks to both of you. Still ahead tonight, plenty more analysis on the most watched races. We'll check in with our panel when election night in Georgia returns.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm Team in the palm of your hand. Scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 Storm Team app. Inside the app, you'll find everything you need to plan your day and keep your family safe. Set your location to get instant notifications for weather near you and even get life-saving alerts when severe weather threatens. From your hourly forecast to a full 10-day breakdown, it is all at your fingertips. Scan the code now and take the Fox 5 Storm Team with you.
Well, our political analysts have offered some excellent insight into these tight races.
Our Christine Spiro joins us now with our panel once again. Christine?
Yeah, I just want to introduce again Lori Geary, Brian Robinson, and Theron Johnson, who are with us here analyzing the numbers, taking a look at how these races are shaping up so far. It looks like Brian Kemp has this comfortable lead. So Brian, Theron, as you're looking at the Stacey Abrams campaign, is there any kind of reflection you have on maybe what messaging or what could have been done better to try to give her a better footing this time around?
Well, we knew coming into this race that it was going to be tough to beat an incumbent, and whether you're a Democrat or Republican, trying to actually defeat an incumbent is tough. But I think that if you really look at the campaign, Stacey Abrams ran a good race. I mean, I think she really had a message that she felt that resonated with Georgia voters. But clearly, if you look at these numbers, and the election hasn't been called yet, but the governor has a sizable lead. And I think that, you know, when you're trying to defeat an incumbent, you've got to let the voters know why this man or woman should be fired. The last thing I would say is this. I think that trying to turn out the amount of votes in a non-presidential election year and a gubernatorial election year is totally different.
Yeah.
And clearly, I think that the base was fired up, but it all came down to the middle, the independents. And I think that's where you see Governor Kemp did a better job than Stacey Abrams of really driving those voters out for him.
Brian, do you think it was just too difficult to? I mean, it's hard to be a Democrat right now with some of the issues that are hanging in the air here, inflation and other issues that are just hard to campaign on right now.
Christine, there's no doubt that the national environment played in the Republicans' favor tonight here in Georgia, as it has around the country. But nevertheless, this state is more diverse, more multicultural than it was 4 years ago when Brian Kemp won by only 55,000 votes. And yet his margin has exploded. This is a mandate for Brian Kemp. This is an affirmation that Georgians like the way that he is governing and they want 4 more years of it. And I think it's also a rejection of some of the rhetoric that we saw from Stacey Abrams. She built a brand talking about voter suppression. At the end of the day, Georgians didn't believe it.
All right, Brian, Lori, Theron, you'll be with us in the next hour. Russ and Courtney will have more to analyze coming up in a little bit.
Yeah, so interesting to talk about the potential outcomes of a night like this. There's so much at stake. We don't want you to change the channel. We will be right back with Fox 5 News Edge at 11.
Our live team coverage of the neck-and-neck races continues. And don't forget to scan that QR code to check the latest race numbers on our Fox 5 election hub. They're the latest numbers, in fact.
All right, stay with us.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm Team in the palm of your hand. Scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 Storm Team app. Inside the app, you'll find everything you need to plan your day and keep your family safe. Set your location to get instant notifications for weather near you and even get life-saving alerts when severe weather threatens. From your hourly forecast to a full 10-day breakdown, it is all at your fingertips. Scan the code now and take the Fox 5 Storm Team with you.
Fox 5 News Edge at 11 starts now.
We are now 4 hours past the polls closing in most Georgia counties, and some races are still way too close to call. Good evening. I'm Russ Spencer.
I'm Courtney Bryant. Fox 5 has live crews across Metro Atlanta with the candidates hoping to win their elections tonight. But first, let's check in on the latest numbers. Let's show you the governor's race. Right now, incumbent Republican Governor Brian Kemp seeking a second term and holding a commanding lead over Democrat challenger Stacey Abrams. The governor is currently 9 points ahead of Abrams.
And take a close look at this U.S. Senate race. Oh, my goodness. We're talking about 3.4 million votes cast and just 12,000 votes between them. 12,000. Does that sound familiar? That was the distance between Joe Biden and Donald Trump in 2020. Herschel Walker with 49.2% to 48.8% for the incumbent Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock. It's going to be a very long night. It's hard to imagine that this gets resolved tonight, but we'll stay with you and we'll see what happens. It's a Senate race that has put Georgia back in the national spotlight, not that we ever left it, as control of Congress hangs in the balance.
Our Denise Dillon is live at the Battery. And Denise, you've been following the Herschel Walker campaign today.
Yeah, and we knew that this was going to be a close one. It's been back and forth all night. Let me tell you, all eyes in this room are glued to the monitors. And you can tell when Herschel Walker pulls ahead because the room just erupts in cheers. Just about a half hour ago, we heard from Herschel Walker for the first time tonight. He said, "We are in a fight, and it's going to be a long night."
I wanted to thank you guys for hanging in. If some of you have to go home, you can wake up tomorrow morning and see that the new senator for the great state of Georgia is Herschel Walker. So I want to tell you guys, and I want to thank you guys for coming out.
And he was introduced by his former teammate, Doug Flutie. Now, he said he's going to be hanging out tonight in the war room. Many of these people are going to be hanging out. We're going to be hanging out, too, and we're following this race very closely as the results come in. Reporting live in Cobb County, Denise Dillon, Fox 5 News.
I hope you have some comfortable shoes. Denise, thanks very much. Senator Raphael Warnock hoping to keep his seat in the U.S. Senate.
Fox 5's Deidre Dukes is live in downtown Atlanta at the Marriott Marquis at Warnock's campaign event tonight. It is a razor-thin margin in this race, Deidre. Have we heard anything from Senator Warnock?
Actually, we've not heard anything from Senator Warnock. Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens is addressing a crowd of supporters here right now. We did hear from Senator Warnock's campaign manager a short time ago. He did say, telling supporters here, that it is still not finished. It is a razor-thin race at this hour. He said there are still lots of votes to be counted, that the Warnock campaign feels very good about where they are now, asking supporters to sit tight because they did say that Senator Warnock will be down shortly. Of course, we have not heard as of yet whether or not we can expect him to come down here within the 11 o'clock hour, but once again we are told that he is due to make an appearance here shortly. Now, Senator John Ossoff took the stage about 30 minutes ago. He fired up the crowd. Ossoff said whether Democrats win outright tonight or face a runoff in December, they will prove victorious and return Warnock to the U.S. Senate.
And the whole nation turned its eyes on Georgia. The whole nation looked to Georgia to make a statement about what America was about. The whole nation turned its eyes on you.
And again, we've not heard from Senator Warnock, but we do expect to hear from him shortly, perhaps sometime within the hour. That's the latest here at the Warnock Campaign Watch Party. Deidre Dukes, Fox 5 News.
We'll check back when it happens. Deidre, thanks so much. Well, let's take another look at the governor's race. Brian Kemp, 54-45 over Stacey Abrams. A 9-point margin at this point, with 71% of the precincts reporting. Reasonable to be thinking at this point about when this race might be called, and whether, in this case, Stacey Abrams might concede. Certainly some outstanding votes still left to be counted for the Democrats in DeKalb County, Chatham County down by the coast, Bibb County and Macon, but that's a big margin to make up.
We'll see what the night holds. Governor Kemp has consistently pulled ahead of Democrat Stacey Abrams throughout the campaign.
Fox 5's Doug Evans is live at the Battery with Kemp supporters tonight. Doug?
And we're starting to see some stirrings here at the Kemp campaign at the Battery. We're here at the Coca-Cola Roxy, where we've been all night with the Kemp campaign and where they have been watching these election results come in, and they have been very favorable for Brian Kemp. We understand that something could be happening in the next few minutes, some kind of decision on when the governor might take the stage here at the Roxy and address this crowd. Of course, they're anxious for it. They're waiting for it. They have been cheering loudly as they've been watching these results come in, and there has been a lot to cheer about. Of course, Brian Kemp campaigning on his record, a record of 4 years, something that he didn't have going into 2018. He certainly did as a Secretary of State, but he runs as the incumbent this time. He talked about Georgia being open for business, schools open first in the nation during the pandemic. He talked about Georgia being #1 in the nation for business, and he talked about putting more money back in the pockets of hardworking Georgians, as he so often says, in the form of tax rebates and in lower gas prices thanks to the suspension of the gasoline tax. And he's talking about maybe in his next 4 years doing something about property tax rebates as well, that to come. So we're waiting for the governor to take the stage here at the Roxy. They're very excited to see him, to hear the news. And of course, everybody wants to know, will Stacey Abrams concede this time, and will she congratulate Brian Kemp? Two things she didn't do in 2018. We'll see. That's the latest here at the Roxy. I'm Doug Evans, Fox 5 News.
All right, great job, Doug. Perhaps we'll see you in the next hour. Democratic challenger Stacey Abrams had hoped for a different outcome compared to 2018. Actually, this time the margin is much wider.
Yeah, our Eric Perry joins us now live from downtown Atlanta with Abrams supporters. Eric, how are things there at this hour?
Yeah, Courtney, Russ, earlier we saw the crowd kind of dancing around, but I want to move out the way to kind of show you that all of the attention, we've seen more people starting to come in. We've also seen several Georgia State Patrol troopers as well come in as well. We think that something will happen. Maybe Abrams will take the stage coming up soon, but you can see the crowd has kind of died down just a little bit. The music's still loud, but the crowd is kind of simmered down as they turn their attention to the podium as of yet. Now, earlier in the day, we heard from different leaders, different state leaders, different city leaders like Mayor Andre Dickens. We heard from also the re-elected Nakima Williams to the U.S. District 5. Take a listen. I spoke one-on-one with her about her relationship with Stacey Abrams.
Stacey Abrams has been a friend for over a decade. We've traveled the state together looking out for Georgians, and when I look at her, I see a leader who sees the humanity of every person in the state, who wants everyone to have the opportunity to thrive.
Yeah, back out here live. It's really no exact time when Stacey Abrams will address the crowd. Again, things are starting to get a little bit more serious. I've noticed the front row, which is a VIP row, more people are starting to come in. So that is an indicator that something is about to happen soon. Of course, when that does happen, we will bring it to you live here on the air. Right now, I'm at the Hyatt Regency at the Stacey Abrams Watch Party. I'm Eric Perry, Fox 5 News.
All right, Eric, thanks so much. Well, Fox 5 anchor Tom Haynes is tracking all these races for us right now.
Tom, tell us what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's almost a 10-point race, guys, between the governor and Stacey Abrams right now. Not even close to what it was the last time these two ran against each other. The question is, when will this race be called? The two candidates poising themselves, at least we hear, to come out and speak. So we'll have to wait and hear. The interesting one, of course, for us to watch tonight, a race we're watching, and a race the entire nation is watching, is one for the U.S. Senate between Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. This race is so close, and the magic number here, as you know, is the 50+1%. Walker polling 49.3, Warnock 48.7. These metro Atlanta counties like Fulton, where Warnock has a healthy lead, and DeKalb and Gwinnett and Cobb, all substantial wins for Raphael Warnock. Are there votes to kind of still be made up in those counties? Down in Chatham as well, the home county of Raphael Warnock. We'll have to wait and see whether those counties pull either one of those candidates over the finish line. Still many more votes to be counted. Let's go to a couple of other races here. The Georgia Lieutenant Governor race looks like a pretty widespread as of right now between Burt Jones and Charlie Bailey. And then the Secretary of State B. Nguyen and Brad Raffensperger. Raffensperger favored in the early polling to win this race, and it looks like he's on his way to doing that as well. More analysis coming up here, guys.
Tom, thanks. With all the attention on Georgia, again, we're breaking down what exactly this means for you.
Fox 5 anchor Christine Spiro has been with our political panel tonight. Christine.
Yeah, it's really been great to kind of get their analysis of all of these races and how they're shaping up. We've got Lori Geary, Theron Johnson, and Brian Robinson with us. And let's start with this governor's race, where you guys have been working your sources and have learned some big news tonight about this race.
Yeah, we heard that there might have been something going on at the Kemp campaign, and now we've learned that from my sources and from Brian Robinson's sources that Stacey Abrams has called Governor Kemp to concede.
And Brian, consistent with what you're hearing from your people as well.
Yes. And consistent with the numbers that we're seeing. So, yes. And this is a big deal because in 2018, Stacey Abrams never made that phone call. She never conceded. I think this is an acknowledgement of the big spread and the fact that this margin is not going to be closed.
Theron, your thoughts on just this news that just has developed now?
Well, now this race is over. You got to definitely commend Stacey Abrams for coming back and taking it, one more shot at trying to be governor. And just unfortunately, she could not achieve that goal tonight. And so I want to publicly congratulate Governor Kemp on getting reelected. Shout out to him and Marty Kemp, First Lady, who, traveled across the state, ran a very tough campaign. So I think now Democrats have got to take about 24 hours to sort of just really relax and look at what we did wrong and what we can do better. But ultimately, I think starting this week, you're going to see some sweeping changes within the party around our messaging and candidates and kind of really doing a sort of political analysis of what went right and what went wrong.
Yeah, and we're seeing in this governor's race, Brian Kemp having really the biggest margin of all the races. Do you think, Lori, this helps those down-ballot candidates get over the hump in some of these other races?
Absolutely. We've been talking a lot about, these split ticket voters when you look at the Senate race. But I think there were also a lot of just, folks who just pulled a Republican ballot and a Democratic ballot to that, obviously much more on the Republican side. But I think that these candidates definitely benefited from Governor Kemp, who absolutely ran a good campaign. And I'll be very interested in seeing the suburban white women vote because I think a lot of these moms wanted to reward the governor for keeping the state open, for keeping the schools open, for keeping, their kids in sports when other states were not doing that. And I think that was a really big issue in the suburbs.
Yeah. Is that consistent with what you're seeing, hearing, Brian?
In 2018, Brian Kemp hardly even visited the suburbs. He gave up on it and really focused on maximizing rural and exurban counties. That was not the strategy this time. He knew he could get back some of those suburban voters. And yes, it is college-educated white women, but also college-educated white men. And also, I think we're going to be surprised at the number of black dads who feel the exact same as white moms when it comes to their kids being back in schools, when it comes to their businesses being reopened. Brian Kemp had a message that appealed far beyond the old white base of the Republican Party. There's no way you get to the numbers that he got tonight without a lot of non-white votes.
Okay. All right, so we will continue watching these numbers with Lori, Brian, and Theron, Russ, and Courtney. Back over to you.
More excellent analysis. Thanks to all of you. Let's check in on some of the other top races. The lieutenant governor race, Burt Jones, State Senator Burt Jones, with 52% to Attorney Charlie Bailey's 46%. Bailey, the Democrat in this race. Jones looks to be headed to the lieutenant governor's office without a runoff.
And in the race for Secretary of State, we continue to see a huge margin get even bigger between incumbent Brad Raffensperger over his Democratic challenger Nguyen. His lead is now widened to 11% as the votes continue to come in.
And Fox 5 is bringing you the very latest election results. Be sure to scan the QR code on the screen on the right now, and that code will take you to the Fox 5 Election Hub, where you can see up-to-the-minute results from all statewide and county races.
Ahead in minutes, we are getting an update on that Secretary of State race. We will have live reports from both the Raffensperger and Nguyen watch parties when we come back.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm Team in the palm of your hand. Scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 Storm Team app. Inside the app, you'll find everything you need to plan your day and keep your family safe. Set your location to get instant notifications for weather near you and even get life-saving alerts when severe weather threatens. From your hourly forecast to a full 10-day breakdown, it is all at your fingertips. Scan the code now and take the Fox 5 Storm Team with you.
Let's take another look at the results from the Secretary of State's race. You know, when Bee Nguyen got into this race, she probably thought she was going to be running against Jody Hice, Congressman Jody Hice, when it came right down to it. He's the election denier who was endorsed by former President Donald Trump. But Georgia Republicans ended up rewarding Brad Raffensperger for telling the truth about what happened in 2020 in Georgia, and he has the largest lead of any Republican in any race tonight statewide.
It's really remarkable when you think about where things were maybe even a year ago.
Exactly.
But really, the race, very much an all-important race because it determines the leader who is responsible for overseeing the elections in our state.
Fox 5's Tyler Fingert is covering Democratic challenger Bee Nguyen's campaign, but we begin with Christopher King at incumbent Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger's watch party. Christopher, I imagine they're very happy there.
Oh, they're very happy. It's quiet here right now. Brad Raffensperger declaring victory earlier in the evening. But just a little while ago, he was holding court. Take a look at some video we shot earlier. Brad Raffensperger out here. He's the incumbent Secretary of State. He's a Republican up against the Democrat Bee Nguyen. He was thrust into the national spotlight, Raffensperger that is, when he refused to overturn the Georgia vote back in 2020 to give Donald Trump the win here in Georgia. Trump unleashed withering attacks against Raffensperger, but he is still standing, unlike other Republicans who contradicted the former president's election claims. We asked Raffensperger about that. He says voters want integrity.
Well, I think it should go out and you talk to people. People had questions. They'd been fed so much misinformation, disinformation. So I went out and I just talked to them face to face.
Again, Brad Raffensperger declaring victory earlier this evening. His margin over Bee Nguyen keeps growing. We are live at Raffensperger's camp. Christopher King, Fox 5 News.
Christopher, thanks. Now, Democratic candidate Bee Nguyen had hoped to unseat Raffensperger.
Our Tyler Fingert is live in downtown Atlanta, and Tyler, Nguyen's campaign is alongside the Stacey Abrams campaign tonight at the Hyatt Regency. Looks like that room has really cleared out.
Yeah, Courtney, that's exactly right. The room cleared out. Everyone pretty much has already gone home here at the Hyatt Regency. And Democratic Secretary of State candidate Bee Nguyen did speak to her supporters during the 9 o'clock hour. One of the things she talked about was that she did not concede during that speech at all, even despite the polls being down by about 11%. She said, quote, she's going to wait for the votes to come in. Throughout the campaign, she has called herself a voting rights expert. She has been an outspoken opponent of Georgia's new election law. Take a listen to what she had to say just a few hours ago.
And to all of you supporters, thank you so much for investing in me, investing in this race, for having my back, for believing in me, for believing in democracy, for believing in the state of Georgia. We're gonna wait for the votes to come in.
We be winning.
Yet at this point, she has not conceded this race, despite the polls coming in right now about 11 points down. We're going to, of course, keep monitoring it and check back in with her to see if she has any update. But the one thing that I do want to point out is that if she would have been elected to, would have received this nomination, ended up being Secretary of State, she would have been the first Asian American to be elected to a statewide office here in Georgia. We are live in downtown Atlanta. Tyler Fingert, Fox 5 News.
All right, Tyler, thanks. Let's show you the latest numbers on the race for lieutenant governor now. Burt Jones has been in the lead consistently throughout the night. He's holding on to his lead of 6%. Right now, he's at 52%. Now that we have almost 3/4 of the vote in tonight.
Our Fox 5 team is covering the top two campaigns tonight. Rob DiRienzo is with Democratic candidate Charlie Bailey.
And Randy Travis is in Flovilla with Republican Burt Jones. That's where we head first. Randy, any word from Jones so far? You said earlier that they were cautiously celebrating. Any word that he may claim victory sometime soon?
Yeah, you know, actually, Courtney, Burt Jones has always said that he wanted to hold the party here in Flovilla rather than up in Atlanta because he wanted to honor friends and neighbors, family members who were originally supportive of his candidacy when he first announced. And he's already sent many of them home saying it was a school night, but he did talk to us a little bit earlier, and he all but declared victory in his comments with us. Take a listen.
The numbers are looking good. The counties that were remaining were, pretty favorable counties for us. And I think right now we're at 53%, and we feel good about where we are. And I think it's going to be a good night for us.
Think about where you are now compared to where you were in 2021, when in the Senate you had some issues. They took away your chairmanship.
Yeah,
things didn't look very good for you back then. What do you think made the difference here?
Well, politics is a funny thing. You have ebb and flows in politics, and sometimes you can be on top of the mountain, then other times you can be on the bottom.
Definitely not on the bottom right now. Well, we also talked in our interview about the Stop the Steal investigation that's going on in Fulton County that originally had named Burt Jones as one of the targets of the investigation until Fani Willis was taken off because she had attended a fundraiser for what turned out to be Burt Jones' opponent in this race. Mr. Jones, Senator Jones, told me that he thinks he's out of it because the judges tossed that case. He's not thinking about that at all. He's focusing on becoming the next lieutenant governor in the state of Georgia. Reporting live from Flovilla, Randy Travis, Fox 5 News.
All right, we'll see what happens there. Randy, thanks. Meanwhile, Democrat Charlie Bailey was expecting possibly a different outcome than the one we're seeing so far tonight.
Right, Fox 5's Rob DiRienzo joins us now live from downtown Atlanta at the gathering spot. Not the outcome he was looking for, Rob.
Well, Courtney, Russ, it's important to note that he has not conceded to his opponent so far. He did appear on stage a little while ago, and he said that there are votes left to be counted. I want to take a step out of the way to show you the room. We are told by campaign staff that he is headed home for the evening, and the room is starting to clear out. I want to give you a listen to what he told us a little while ago.
A lot of votes left to be counted. But there are a lot of our votes. We feel very good about where it's going, and we're going to win this race tonight, or we're going to win it in a month from now.
And again, as it stands right now, Burt Jones has about a 200,000 vote lead, but Bailey is not ready to concede. He said he's preparing for a runoff at this point, but again, doesn't seem as if it's heading in that direction. But of course, we will keep you posted. That's the latest from here, live in downtown Atlanta. Rob DiRienzo, Fox 5 News.
All right, Rob, thanks. Let's take you now to show you a live look inside the Stacey Abrams watch party at the Hyatt Regency. We are expecting to hear from her any moment. She is set to come out and address the crowd that has been gathered there, just as Fox 5 is reporting that Governor Kemp has been reelected to a second term. We're going to monitor the situation, and we will bring this to you live when Abrams comes out to speak. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm Team in the palm of your hand. Scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 Storm Team app. Inside the app, you'll find everything you need to plan your day and keep your family safe. Set your location to get instant notifications for weather near you and even get life-saving alerts when severe weather threatens. From your hourly forecast to a full 10-day breakdown, it is all at your fingertips. Scan the code now and take the Fox 5 Storm Team with you.
So you said you were tired of the negative ads. Look, there's 3.5 million votes. It's 49-49 between Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. But look at the number to the top left of the 49s. There are 1,400 votes separating these two out of 3.5 million cast. It hardly even seems possible at this point.
Well, the numbers are right in front of us, so it appears to be possible, but that is a razor-thin margin in the U.S. Senate race. We're going to keep following it, but first, we'll take a look at the weather.
Good evening to you, Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Jonathan Stacey here. We just got an update, that 11 o'clock update in on subtropical storm Nicole here. This update shows that this storm will likely make landfall somewhere between Daytona Beach, West Palm Beach tomorrow night, 7 o'clock along Florida's east coast. You can see that rain reaching in up the peninsula and the panhandle. By the time we get to Thursday at 7 o'clock, you can see there into the panhandle, and we're already starting to get some of those early rain bands moving into Atlanta. The storm is right over top of us with the greatest impacts to the south and to the east of the I-85 corridor. The good news is we are on the better side, not the dirty side of the storm. That's 7 o'clock. It is a very wet and windy Friday morning. By the weekend, we'll push that moisture out. What should you expect? Heavy rain, 2 to 3 inches of much needed rain. The tornado risk is low based on where we're located. However, the winds we won't be able to avoid. We're looking at wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour. All that said, it starts Thursday night, goes into Friday. That's the first part of Veterans Day. We calm things down, but we cool down with temperatures in the 30s as we go into the weekend. Russ?
Jonathan, thanks. And when we come back tonight, we're checking in on the Senate race when election night in Georgia returns. Stay with us, please.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm Team in the palm of your hand. Scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 Storm Team app. Inside the app, you'll find everything you need to plan your day and keep your family safe. Set your location to get instant notifications for weather near you and even get life-saving alerts when severe weather threatens. From your hourly forecast to a full 10-day breakdown, it is all at your fingertips. Scan the code now and take the Fox 5 Storm Team with you.
Race for one reason and one reason only: to fight. And not just any fight, a fight to save Georgia. A fight on behalf of our children and generations to come. A fight on behalf of our people, whether they know it or not. A fight for basic human rights that we should take for granted, but we have to struggle to hold on to. And a fight for the values that we hold dear and we may never sacrifice. I got into this for a fight for what we know to be true deep down in our bones, that the state of Georgia, the people of Georgia, deserve more. Over the last year, in big cities and small towns, in living rooms and classrooms across the state, I have met thousands of people face to face. It feels like 2.3 million. And here's what I know for sure. We come from different backgrounds, different religions, speak different languages. We have different dreams, and we feel passionate about different issues in very different ways. But despite our differences, despite what people will tell us separates us, for the most part, we want the same things. We want to live in a Georgia that works for everyone. A Georgia where every person has a voice in our democracy and doesn't have to show up early to make it so. Because voting is a fundamental right, not a privilege for the wealthy few. A Georgia where we can all breathe clean air and drink clean water because we decided to use our power to fix our climate and save our planet, not drill down to take titanium out and spoil what we have in the state of Georgia. A Georgia where hope lives in the heart of every child, but it sits there, rests there along with opportunity, because we invested in quality public education, a pathway to a life full of dignity, and no shooters in their schools. A Georgia where every person can not only afford to see a doctor, but there's a hospital if they need one. They can get their prescriptions filled because drug companies and insurance companies aren't able to block it, and because we've expanded Medicaid, because 500,000 Georgians deserve access to health care in this state. That is why we fight. I am talking about the Georgia of our greatest imagination. And here's what gives me hope. Over the last year across this great state, countless Georgians were ready to come off the sidelines and fight for that Georgia. Standing behind me is one of the most extraordinary women I have ever known. From the moment I got into politics, I have always promised to level with the people of Georgia. And I am here to tell you that what we have architected in this state does not end today. And this woman is one of the reasons why. Lauren Growargo is our champion. She is our friend, and she deserves our praise and our thanks, because this is the Georgia she's helping us build. I'm here because my friend Allegra Lawrence Hardy is one of the fiercest attorneys you will ever meet. And she has poured her heart and her soul and her time and her treasure to defending our rights and our democracy, and she will never be demeaned for doing for us what we can't do on our own. Thank you, Allegra Lawrence Hardy. I see in this crowd women and men who have been a part of this journey since I put my name on a ballot in 2006. And while I may not have crossed the finish line, that does not mean we will ever stop running for a better Georgia. We will never stop running for the truth that we know to be true, for the people we know need to see us, for the ones who don't know they deserve to stand, let alone run. And tonight, we must be honest, even though our fight for the governor's mansion may have come up short, I'm pretty tall.
Abrams, after Governor Kemp has been declared the winner, let's listen to Governor Kemp now.
Well, how about them dogs? Well, thank y'all so much. It looks like the reports of my political death have been greatly exaggerated. And listen, it is a great night to be a Georgian. I want to thank you guys so much for coming to be with our family tonight. Let's hear it for the best First Lady and the best First Daughters in the nation. As you all know, this has been quite the team effort for us, and it wouldn't be without these four ladies that have worked so hard and supported me in everything I've ever done. So I just cannot thank them enough for their support. Listen, there are so many people to thank, many who are with us tonight. Thank you guys. But first and foremost, thank you to the Team Kemp volunteers who put up yard signs, made phone calls, knocked on doors, wrote postcards, and got their friends and families out to vote. We would not be here without you. Thank you so much, y'all. I also just want to thank all the other statewide candidates and our state legislators who are here. Thank you guys and congratulations. I know you all have worked incredibly hard over the last few months, and I look forward to working with each of you over the next 4 years to keep our state moving in the right direction. Great, thank you. And all the hard-working Georgians across the state who came out to our bus stops, our rallies, our meet and greets, those who helped Lucy fill up our diesel fuel can. You remember at the bus stop when Lucy was holding the diesel fuel can, and we told you at those stops all across this state, we got all the money we need. It's just in your pocket. And I appreciate y'all supporting the girls with your contributions, but also just appreciate the strong grassroots supporters that we've had literally from Claxton to Calhoun. And finally, I just want to thank the campaign staff and our official staff for all the wood that they have chopped over the last several months. We love y'all. As you all know, we did not get distracted on this hard-fought campaign. Just like we have stayed focused on putting you first throughout my first term. We woke up every single day talking about how to build a safer, stronger Georgia for you and your family, and help your family fight through Joe Biden's 40-year high inflation. And we did that by focusing on common sense solutions to put more of your hard-earned tax dollars back in your pocket, like passing the largest state income tax cut in history, returning over $1 billion back to you, the taxpayers, and suspending the gas tax in this state since March. And we are not about to stop there. Come January 2023, we're going to send another $1 billion back to the taxpayers. And we're also going to give you relief on your property taxes as well. But we also focused on how resilient Georgia's economy has been despite the disaster we're seeing in Washington, D.C. and across the country thanks to Joe Biden. But in Georgia, that's right. But in Georgia, we have record low unemployment. The most people ever working in the history of our state. Historic investment in rural Georgia. And the two largest job projects in state history were announced just in the last year. But this campaign was also about keeping you and your families safe, and by backing our men and women in law enforcement. Continuing our fight against gangs and human trafficking, and standing up to the pro-criminal, anti-law enforcement policies of the far left. And it was also about making sure our kids recover from pandemic learning loss and get the best education they can in a safe, welcoming environment, free from politics or divisive ideologies. As long as I'm your governor, we are going to continue to stand with our educators and put our students and our parents first. And as you all know, we took our campaign to voters who normally don't support Republicans, because no matter where you live or what neighborhood you are from, hardworking Georgians want their families safe, their streets safe, and they want good paying jobs and a quality education for their children. Our message to voters was about making sure they had the opportunity to achieve the American dream right here in the Peach State, no matter their zip code. Each day of this race, we talked about how Marty, the girls, and I think we live in the best state in the country to live, work, and raise our families. And we all know that my opponent disagreed. But looking at the results tonight, we made sure that Stacey Abrams is not going to be our governor or your next president. The people in this room and hardworking Georgians all across our state know these last 4 years have not been easy. Because of a global pandemic, loved ones were lost, jobs were cut, businesses struggled, and lives were uprooted. Nearly overnight, Americans from all walks of life were made to feel anxious, maybe even frightened for their future, their family's future, and the future of our country. This was an unprecedented challenge we had never faced before. There was no playbook. There was no widely accepted path forward, no silver bullet that could bring back our normal way of life. On top of that, you add in the 2020 election, pandemic politics, and a lot of people that didn't live here or vote here thinking they knew what was best for our state. At one point or another, the national media, Stacey Abrams, the healthcare pundits, far-left activists, liberal donors, presidents, both current and former, they all were attacking Georgia. They opposed our measured approach to protecting both lives and livelihoods. According to the pundits and the so-called experts, if you wanted to keep your barbershop open, you were a threat to public health. If you didn't want a government forcing you or your family to get vaccinated against your will, you were part of the problem. If you wanted to keep your job as a waitress at a local restaurant, they told you that it was too dangerous. If you wanted to go worship in a church, they said no. But you could go gamble in a casino. When parents wanted their kids back in the classroom instead of behind a screen, they listened to the National Teachers Union and the healthcare pundits who said no. But as you know, they didn't.
Unlike 4 years ago, Governor Kemp had a record to run on this time, and he has talked about that record, saying reports of his political death had been exaggerated. Let's listen in to Senator Warnock, who's now trailing by 2,000 votes out of 3.5 million cast.
I'm a proud son of Georgia. And I'm grateful for all the work that you all are putting in. And I'll say more later, so I'm going to try to defy Baptist preacher gravity and not talk too long. But listen, we always knew that this race would be close. And so here, that's where we are. So y'all just hang in there. I'm feeling good. I do. I feel good. And just hang in there and enjoy one another. I'm with you. And we know how much is at stake in this election. So thank you for being with me, and I'm grateful that we are together every step of the way. And if you can hang in here for just a little while longer, we'll come back and say some more. But in the meantime, I'm going to say to you what I say to my church every Sunday. Keep the faith and keep looking up.
All right, that was Reverend Raphael Warnock addressing his supporters, letting them know that there is some more time to go before we'll know how this race turns out. But again, this is a very close race between Warnock and Republican challenger Herschel Walker.
Yeah, he shall come back in a little while. But the first thought in my head was, are you talking about in a month on December 6th? Because it's not up to us to call this race as going to a runoff at this point. But if you take a quick look at the numbers, it's now 17,000 votes or something like that that separates the two. It was as little as 700 20 minutes ago. 49.2 to 48.8. We'll talk more about this race when we come back.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm Team in the palm of your hand. Scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 Storm Team app. Inside the app, you'll find everything you need to plan your day and keep your family safe. Set your location to get instant notifications for weather near you and even get life-saving alerts when severe weather threatens. From your hourly forecast to a full 10-day breakdown, it is all at your fingertips. Scan the code now and take the Fox 5 Storm Team with you.
The eyes of the nation are on Georgia's U.S. Senate race, and here's proof positive that every vote counts. Republican Herschel Walker with 49.2% of the vote to incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock at 48.8%, about 17,000 votes between the two of them. And the Libertarian, Chase Oliver, has a full 2% at this point, which looks to be enough, we'll see, to perhaps cause a runoff in this race.
Yeah, we just heard from Senator Warnock addressing his supporters at his campaign event. Our Deidre Dukes is there, but first we want to go to Denise Dillon. She joins us live from the Walker campaign. Denise?
Yeah, the crowd is starting to thin here at the Herschel Walker party, but it's not because of a lack of interest. Frankly, it's just getting pretty late. Plus, they've already heard from the man that they came here to see. Herschel Walker was introduced by his former teammate, Doug Flutie, about an hour and 20 minutes ago. He told the crowd it's a tough fight, but he didn't come here to lose. He also said he understands if you have to go home and you can just wake up tomorrow and see your new senator. He then went back to the war room saying he's going to finish watching the results there. We're keeping an eye on them as well, so stay with us. Reporting live in Cobb County, Denise Dillon, Fox 5 News.
All right, we're with you. Denise, thanks. Senator Raphael Warnock, of course, hoping to keep his seat in the U.S. Senate.
Fox 5's Deidre Dukes is live in downtown Atlanta at the Marriott Marquis. And Deidre, we just heard from the senator. He was very careful not to say anything definitive about how he thinks the outcome of this race will be.
That's right, Courtney and Russ. And Russ, I actually had the same question that you posed a little earlier when we heard Senator Warnock, when he made his remarks here to the crowd, say, hang tight just a little longer, I'll be back. We also were wondering if he meant that he actually is going to return here to make more remarks this evening, or if he meant we're ready for what looks like will be the second leg of this race, as it does appear that this race is going to a runoff. Warnock did appear here just before midnight. It was his first appearance before the crowd. He thanked them for their support, for all of their hard work. He said that he knows what is at stake in this election, and he did tell them that he was still going to continue to monitor these results. He told them to hang tight here. We did see, for the most part, it does appear that several people are remaining, but we have seen this crowd thin out somewhat because we don't know how much longer we are all going to be here this evening and when the Warnock campaign might call it for the night. But as of right now, we are all sitting tight, waiting to hear from the Warnock campaign what their next steps will be as we look towards a possible runoff here tonight. That's the latest with the Mary Marquis. Deidre Dukes, Fox 5 News.
All right, Deidre, thanks very much. And before we go to break, I'd like to mention to you folks that we stepped away from Stacey Abrams to go to Governor Kemp and his acceptance. And while she continued her remarks, our folks who were listening into the rest of the speech say that she did explicitly concede to Governor Kemp.
Yeah, and she also called him earlier in the evening to concede as well. That race really became clear what the outcome was fairly early in the night.
Yes, it was a much wider outcome than she was expecting, that she was hoping for, and certainly much wider than the 55,000 of 2018. We'll be back after this with more.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm Team in the palm of your hand. Scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 Storm Team app. Inside the app, you'll find everything you need to plan your day and keep your family safe. Set your location to get instant notifications for weather near you and even get life-saving alerts when severe weather threatens. From your hourly forecast to a full 10-day breakdown, it is all at your fingertips. Scan the code now and take the Fox 5 Storm Team with you.
Get news from Fox 5 and Good Day Atlanta 24/7 with email newsletters.
It's the news you want delivered right to your inbox.
The Morning Brief gives you all the top stories to start your day.
And the GDA download delivers a daily recap of trending news, celeb interviews, recipes, and more.
You can also get breaking news when it happens.
And contest alerts to give you the best chance at winning.
We've been closely monitoring the Georgia U.S. Senate race. Let's show you the latest look at the numbers now. It is a very close race with Herschel Walker holding a very slight lead over Senator Raphael Warnock. Just about 9,000 votes separate the two. 49.1% is a far cry from the 50+1 needed to avoid a runoff.
That's a good way of putting it. Our panelists have been giving us some great analysis of these results.
Yeah, Fox 5 anchor Christine Spiro has been standing by with our political panelists tonight. It'll be interesting to hear what they think about the Senate race. Christine.
Yeah, let's bring back Lori Geary and Theron Johnson, Brian Robinson here on set with us. And I was watching Lori. I was looking at her notes like I was cheating on a test or something. But you were crunching some numbers over there. And give us just your assessment of what numbers you were looking at and what you gleaned from it.
Well, we knew it would be close. We're talking about 9,000 votes, but I think what's interesting to point out is you wonder if this will go to the military and overseas ballots, because you have about 7,000 of those. They have until Monday to get those in and get them tabulated. So if it's this close right now, you got to wonder if that'll make a difference.
So this is not a situation where we'll wake up in the morning and know. You think this will be a matter of days?
Well, we're still waiting on some other counties, to finish up counting. Fulton County, Cobb, Gwinnett, which will be Democratic strongholds, but still, I mean, it's so close.
Yeah. What's your prediction on this side of the table? Do you think we'll know if someone meets that 50% threshold, or you calling this a runoff?
Well, I mean, it's 84% of the vote in. As Lori mentioned, there are some counties like Fulton and others that are kind of still out. But I think that, look, we won't know tonight who would win this race. I think it could probably go until tomorrow, a few days. But ultimately, I think you just look at the posture of both candidates. They didn't declare victory.
Yeah.
They basically told their supporters thank you and to basically be patient. And I think that's what we got to do.
Brian?
Well, at this juncture, there's only so many more votes out, and no one is really that close to 50% just yet. So it does appear to be headed to a runoff.
Yeah. Are you fascinated at the fact that a candidate like Brian Kemp in the governor's race, Brad Raffensperger in the Secretary of State's race were vilified by the former president, and look at where they are now? What do you think that says? What do you think about the electorate here, voting them back into office?
I mean, I think Brian Kemp in his speech, it was vindication for him to say, all these people said this about me, said that about me, and look at me now.
Boy, do we see some emotion from Governor Kemp that's been pent up for 2 years come out tonight. We have never seen him take a shot at President Trump. He did it in his concession speech, talking about president and past attacking him and him being right on the issues. So you can see the catharsis for Kemp, that finally being able to drop the discipline, drop his guard, and tell us how he really feels about this. He came out fighting in that concession speech. And I think, what does it tell us? It tells us that Georgians have rejected the controversy over 2020 elections, and that those who stood up for the integrity of our elections were rewarded by the middle in Georgia tonight.
I'm interested, Lori, because you've been looking at some of these other races outside of the footprint of the state of Georgia. Do you have any assessment on what you think maybe with the U.S. Senate, who will have the majority after these races are called?
I think the one thing that I'm surprised about in looking at some of these numbers is that they're not in yet. I mean, we're after midnight, and we still know that these races are too close to call. So I think it just says a lot about maybe where we are in America right now, as we are down the middle, and that's why these races are so close.
Yeah. I think we got some new numbers coming in on the U.S. Senate race between Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. We're at this point fewer than 1,000 votes. Wow. I mean, these look exactly like the numbers from the polls that we have been talking about these last several days. 49% to 49%. I know Herschel Walker in his victory speech sounded almost like a pseudo victory speech, but at this point, really, It's not. It's too close to call at this point.
Yeah, but let me say this. I think that to pick up on something that Brian and Lori talked about is that the Republicans did a really good job of keeping Donald Trump out of Georgia, right? I mean, you have not heard from him, you have not seen him. And look, we as Democrats benefited when he was to send out a tweet or he opened his mouth and said something very mean or derogatory or insulting about his own party and other people. And so the question is, if this goes to a runoff, I still got hope with the numbers that are still out there. Senator Warnock could maybe pull this off tonight. But if it goes to a runoff, the question will be, can the Republicans keep Donald Trump out of Georgia?
Is that the strategy, Brian, you think, to keep the former? Because he's about to potentially say he's running for re-election in 2024.
We will know it by the polling. If the polling says that Donald Trump coming to town to campaign for Herschel Walker is a net negative, he's not going to come. If the polling shows that it's the net positive,
he's not going to come according to who? Him or?
Look, Herschel,
he's going to do what he wants to do.
If there's any candidate in America who has a special relationship with Donald Trump and can tell him no, it is Herschel Walker. They have a 40-year friendship. Herschel calls him Donald, not Mr. President, and Donald Trump answers the phone when Herschel Walker calls. He's got the ability to do stuff that other candidates that Trump has endorsed doesn't have.
Well, the other thing we got to look at, too, is, all right, let's say that this race goes to a runoff. Herschel Walker won't have Governor Kemp on the ballot to basically help him get a lot of those voters. And so look, let me just stop talking about Republicans. Democrats, what we got to do is regroup, be ready to go tomorrow morning, and we got to pull together a winning coalition. And I think that Senator Warnock, because he ran a very moderate campaign, he really made a concerted effort to appeal to the middle, Democrats and Republicans. And so what we've got to do is come together tomorrow morning, and I think you'll see Senator Warnock be a little bit more specific, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more on the attack with Herschel Walker. And then I think this time, when these two gentlemen debate again, the expectations will be high for both of them, and Herschel Walker will not be able to benefit for lowering the expectations and just get a trophy for really showing up.
I think also, though, if this does head into a runoff, you also will not have former President Trump telling voters to stay home because their vote doesn't count. And that will be a really big deal. There were about 39,000 voters the last time around that put Senator Ossoff and Warnock into office, staying home. And that won't happen. So I think that could help Walker.
And look, I think we also probably need to go ahead and look at calling the other races. I don't know that there's really enough out to bring the other Republicans who are at the 52% mark down below 50. So you got to think Chris Carr has been reelected. Burt Jones has been elected as lieutenant governor.
Yeah, and Brad Raffensperger, Secretary of State as well.
Brad Raffensperger, of course, with a big win tonight.
Yeah. All right, wow, so much more to digest as we look at these numbers and wait until the final call on whether this in fact does go to a runoff. We'll be back right after this break.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm Team in the palm of your hand. Scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 Storm Team app. Inside the app, you'll find everything you need to plan your day and keep your family safe. Set your location to get instant notifications for weather near you and even get life-saving alerts when severe weather threatens. From your hourly forecast to a full 10-day breakdown, it is all at your fingertips. Scan the code now and take the Fox 5 Storm Team with you.
Get news from Fox 5 and Good Day Atlanta 24/7 with email newsletters.
It's the news you want delivered right to your inbox.
The Morning Brief gives you all the top stories to start your day.
And the GDA download delivers a daily recap of trending news, celeb interviews, recipes, and more.
You can also get breaking news when it happens.
And contest alerts to give you the best chance at winning.
Governor Brian Kemp wins 4 more years, defeating Stacey Abrams by more than 300,000 votes. He very studiously avoided saying a negative word about former President Trump during the entire campaign. Extremely disciplined. I interviewed him 3 times. I tried to get him to say what he thought, and he just would not take the bait. Tonight, he did mention that the current and former president criticized him for reopening when he did, and he certainly feels vindicated tonight.
Yeah, he got a big win in tonight's race for re-election, but the race for Georgia's U.S. Senate is still way too close to call. Herschel Walker still in the lead, but now only 1,000 votes, less than 1,000 votes, separate him from incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock. That race likely to go to a runoff, but at this point, still too close to call. We will continue to monitor the results in the Senate race. We'll bring you any updates right here on fox5atlanta.com and right here on Fox 5.
And of course, be sure to tune in to Good Day Atlanta beginning at 4:30 a.m. We will have complete coverage of the races, and we do thank you for joining us for election night in Georgia. Have a great night.
The news moves fast, and so do you. So take the news with you. You can scan the code right here to download the Fox 5 News app now. Inside the app, hit the Watch Live button to stream Fox 5 News wherever you are. Get alerts for the biggest stories and the latest news headlines, weather coverage, sports breakdowns, even I-Team investigations. So what are you waiting for? Scan the code now and take the news with you. Download the Fox 5 News app now.
Get the power of the Fox 5 Storm